Welcome back. Let's get cracking with our darkest night. There's not a great deal of activity on the first turn, but we'll start with the hero turns and they get an opportunity to take their actions. It's up to us to decide which player goes first. There's no player order, so I'm going to start off with the scout because I want to use his cross-country action here. We get just one action on a hero's turn, and it's normally one of these: travel, hide, attack, search, prey, retrieve holy wreck, or the action effect of a power card, which is what I'm going to do here. It says, for my action, exhaust to move twice and gain 2 secrecy up to 7. Well, we're already at 7, so that's not going to happen, but we exhaust it by turning it face down, and we can move twice. Normally you can only move once. Exhausted powers stay that way until they're refreshed, so that means I can't use cross-country until I take an action to refresh, and that's normally done through praying at the monastery or hiding. Let's take our scout and move twice, and what I'm keen to do is try and get some power-ups as soon as possible, so let's head over to the castle. What we have to do here now is check to see if any blights at the location, because we're about to end our turn, have any end of turn effects. There's nothing on here to tell you whether there's any end of turn effects or not. There are hints at what the thing does. The best way I find is just to check the reference sheet on the back of the rulebook. So if I'm unsure, I'll just head over here, find evil presence. There's nothing here that says at the end of the turn. So here, for example, on the Lich and the Skeletons, the Spies, it does say at the end of each turn, okay. That's the scout done, and to signify the scout has reached their end of turn, you turn their marker to the moon side. Next, let's activate our Crusader. And the Crusader, being pretty strong, I'm going to have this guy head over to the village. I want to do something about these spies, pretty smartish. This might be risky, but we're still close to the monastery where we can head back and heal up. And the good thing about him moving is that every time you move, you gain 1 secrecy up to a maximum of 5. He only started on 4, so he's going to head up to 5 secrecy just for travelling. Thematically, this represents the fact that, you know, these guys are moving locations. Their location has become a little more hidden because they've changed positions. Unfortunately, these spies here, they do have an end of turn effect. We lose 1 secrecy. So we're back down to 4. Hey, no big deal. That's the Crusader's turn taken. Next, I think we'll activate the Knight. The Knight's pretty keen to do some power-ups as well. So the Knight, she's got this action here on her power card, Hard Ride. Action, move twice, but gain no secrecy. We're going to have her head over to the swamps. 1, 2. And then finally, the Priest is going to activate. And I particularly like this Elude with 4 dice. Sanctuary is pretty strong. So with that in mind, I'm going to take the Priest out of the monastery, and we're going to either go to the mountains or the forest. The Skeletons need 4 to elude. The Lich needs 5 to elude. So I'm going to head down to the forest. We don't get any secrecy because our secrecy it's 6 already, so it's more than 5. Unfortunately, because we've ended our turn here with the Skeletons, we do have to face the Skeletons in combat at the end of our turn. So we flip it over and we can see there's 2 stats here. There's a 4 armour here, a 4 fight, or a 4 elude. So we can choose to either face the Skeletons in combat and defend ourselves, in which case we need a 4 on a die roll, or we can try and elude the Skeletons. Again, we need a 4 on a die roll. So the decision on which one we choose is going to be based around the tactics available to us and any bonuses that our power cards provide. Well, we already know that the Priest has this Sanctuary tactic, Tactics can be used in combat, but you can only use one tactic per combat. And this one says, I elude with 4 dice. I will lose the secrecy if I succeed, however. But that's okay, we'll gain that when we move. So, of course, the choice is obvious. We will choose to elude. Normally, an unmodified elude or combat would be one single die roll. We got 4. I remember we have to get a 4 or higher on any one of these dice to successfully elude the skeleton. So it was, it was a pretty good deal. And yeah, no problem. We got a couple of 6s, a 5 and a 4, but we do lose 1 secrecy. That's everyone completed their turn now. We've got 4 moons showing, so it's time for darkness to descend and the necromancer to take their turn. First thing we'll do, darkness track will ascend by 1. Now we need to roll the die for the necromancer to determine his movement. The necromancer is going to look across the kingdom and search for any heroes. He's going to use a die roll. If this die roll comes out higher than any hero's secrecy, then he'll spot that hero. So you can see that secrecy has a direct result on how visible a hero is to the necromancer and his minions. So let's roll the die. And we rolled a 5. That's a pretty mean roll. Scout's secrecy is 7. Knight 6. The priest is 5. The crusader is 4. So that 5 is higher than the crusader's secrecy. Our necromancer is going to head towards the crusader. He just heads off 1 spot towards the closest visible hero. The bad news for our crusader is the necromancer is now going to create a blight in the village. So we draw a map tile, and this tells us that if we're in the village, then skeletons will be created here. So we'll grab a skeleton blight and place it in the village. And this is pretty tough for the crusader, because I was hoping to look at fulfilling this quest or taking out those spies. Now we've got a little bit more work to do. The last thing we do need to do before we end the turn is place 1 duration token on unearthly mists. We've now only got 2 turns to complete this. And that's the first round of the game complete. All our tokens get reset and the heroes are ready to begin once more. Why don't we head straight into the next turn and have the crusader face the music. Starting here in the village with the necromancer is going to cause the crusader a few little problems. He's been spotted, so he's going to immediately lose 1 secrecy. So that's going to keep the necromancer on the crusader's tail. But we always planned that the crusader would come in here, duck in, do what he needs to do, and then head back to the monastery. Before we can take an action, because we are beginning our turn outside of the monastery, we will have to draw an event card. This one says we encounter a vile messenger. This guy is going to pop out of the shadows. A vile messenger is lurking in the village. We have to combat him now. He has 4 to defend ourselves successfully in combat. We can't elude him. He's taken us by surprise. Failure will result in +1 to the darkness track. Fortunately though, I do have a tactic. Wrath, spend 1 grace to fight with 4 dice. So I think we should do that. And we need a 4 or higher. Yes, we were successful, no problem. You can see that things can get quite hairy around here. Now we can have our crusader face these spies and try and take them down. This time, because we are initiating the attack as our action, we're heading for this value here in the top right, 5. It's also in the bottom left at the back here. If we lose the combat, then we suffer this penalty in the bottom right, which in this case is lose 1 secrecy. But the other thing is, whenever we initiate an attack, we will kind of draw attention to ourselves. We're going to lose one secrecy anyway. So we lose one secrecy. Now this isn't a very easy die roll. Unless we use a tactic, we're only going to get to roll one dice in the attack. So we're going to use our wrath again and use 4 dice. So remember, we're looking for a 5 or above this time to take out the spies. And oh yes, we've just made it. We have defeated this blight. Unfortunately, it's not quite over yet. The Crusader is here in the village where there are skeletons. With an end of turn effect, we have to defend ourselves against these skeletons now. So remember, it was 4 if we fight them, 4 if we elude them. If we fail, then they're going to give us a killing blow, which means we have to soak up a piece of grace to avoid dying. Now this time I'm not going to use my wrath tactic. I could. Remember, it's 1 tactic per combat, not per turn but per combat. But the consequence is, if I use wrath, then I'm going to lose a grace. If I lose the combat, I'm going to lose a grace. So I may as well just take the chance with 1 dice and see if I can't get a 4, 5 or a 6. I'm not attacking this person, so this skeleton. So even if I win, the skeletons are going to stay. The difference there was when I was attacking the spies, I wanted the victory because I wanted to take them off the board. That was me attacking them. So it's just 1 die. I want a 4, 5 or a 6. And yes, we've got ourselves a 6. So we're good. We're good. We've saved ourselves some grace. That's the Crusader done. I think we will have the Priest activate next. The Priest is here in the forest. We're going to draw an event card. And we find a guarded trove. There could be some good rewards here, but we do have to fight or elude the guard standing here. So I'm definitely using the elude because I've got my tactic. Remember, this says elude with 4 dice, but I lose 1 secrecy if I succeed. The worst thing here is I do need a 6, so it's going to be tough. But we got 4 dice. We're looking for a 6. And no, we've failed. So we don't lose the secrecy anyway, but if we fail to elude, then we spend 1 secrecy or draw another event. Well, I think we'll just spend that secrecy for now. Events can be pretty nasty, and I want to keep focused on what we're trying to achieve here. Because the Crusader's under some pressure, and we do want to get this quest and get the village cleared, I'm going to have the priest come over here. The bad news is we've now got to elude these skeletons. It's not too bad. We've got a 50-50 chance. We only need a 4 to elude the skeleton, so let's take a chance on it. Yes, we did it. We did it. Excellent. Good stuff. We should have gained a secrecy for moving. That ends the priest's turn. Let's see what the knight can do. Our knight's over here in the swamp, so let's draw an event. It is renewal. This is just a card to get the event deck recycled. So we got to draw another card, so it doesn't have any effect in itself. So this goes in the discard pile. We take the event deck and the discard pile and we give them a good old shuffle. Okay, and then we draw a new card, and it is Sloppy Search. We roll a die and we take the highest roll and see what happens. This one doesn't look too bad. It says take the highest because you can sometimes use a power to modify an event roll. And we rolled a 6, so we gained 1 secrecy. That was a good result. The knight's up to on the maximum 7. I'm not too worried about this confusion. It just says we can't use any tactics here. And I don't currently have any tactics that help me search. So we're just going to take the search action And all we do is roll a single die and we look at the search difficulty of 4. So this means the knight needs a 4 or higher to successfully search in the swamp. No, it's a 2. A 2. We failed. Unlucky, unlucky. Maybe we need the scout to come down and help out. But let's see. Let's see. The scout's going to activate now. There is an evil presence here, which means we roll 1 less dice when eluding. But let's see what we get for our event. It is a cultist. He has 5 fight, 3 elude. We've got to take this guy on. We're going to try and elude him, I think. Because despite the evil presence, we're only going to elude with 1 die anyway. The evil presence says 1 less die to a minimum of 1. So he can't take you down to 0 dice. But we do have this tactic here called speed. We can use our speed, elude with 1 die, and add 1 to our highest roll. We can exhaust it to add 2 instead of 1. So there is a chance if we roll the 1 die and get a 3 or higher, we might not need to use our speed. We do need to use it. So, but 1's enough. We don't need 2. We've managed to successfully elude the cultist, and that means for winning an elude, there's no effect. If we had decided to take him on in combat, that would have been pretty cool because it would have lowered the darkness track. But there you go. That was too much to try and take on, I think. So let's have our scout search in the castle. This is one of the easiest places. All we need is a 2 here. Now our scout's pretty good at searching. He has treasure maps. It says activate in your location, then search. And all heroes, so that's including scout, get an additional die when searching there. And we deactivate and exhaust at the end of the round. And to activate a power, all we do is we place it on our hero card to remind us that it's activated. Let's roll our 2 dice, and we're looking for a 2 or above. And we got it a 1 and a 5. We have successfully searched. Draw a map card and see what we found. We're in the castle. We found a supply cache. That's pretty neat. Just what we wanted, really, because what that means is we get to draw 2 power cards. We get to keep 1 and place the other on the bottom of our deck. Let's see if we've got a choice of shelters or probe defences. I like the idea of shelters. This one says we can activate at any time, and heroes in this location do not experience events. I mean, events can be pretty nasty. Or probe defences, all blights get -1 might. That's the number you're heading for when you're trying to fight them and defeat them. Should we take shelters? I think that could work. So now the scout has powered up, and we have to deactivate and exhaust our treasure maps. And that was the final hero. We head into the necromancer's turn. First we increase darkness to 2. Then we roll his die. And it's a 1. Okay, that's good. That's okay. That means the necromancer's not detected any heroes. Everyone's secrecy is higher than 1. But now we look at these numbers. If we roll a 4, we go this way. 5, 2, 3, 6. He stays where he is. And on a 1, the necromancer heads off to the mountains. So off he trots. And of course we now place a blight in the mountains. Oh, it's a nasty one. It is desecration. This blight's basically forcing the heroes to come in and take it on, because desecration, the location doesn't really matter. What it means is instead of the darkness track going up once at the beginning of the necromancer's turn, it's actually going to go up 2 spots. It's going to speed up the game unless we can take that out. And finally, Unearthly Mists gets another duration token. And we end the turn. Join me next time.